Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a Wild Time podcast is back tonight, and it is back and bigger than ever. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for the subscriptions, all the likes, all the content we did. We did a lot of MMA stuff. Houston Alexander, my last guest, one of the most vicious knockout artists ever in the UFC. Check out that. Gabriel Napao Gonzaga, awesome former UFC heavyweight contender, fought Randy Couture. Just a great guy too. Great interview. But tonight, I'm not gonna fake the funk. Tonight is a very big deal to me. Everybody that knows me knows how much this next guest, his father, means to me, inspires me. Heck, when I walk around, you may even see that every now and then. Tonight, we have a special guest, and he is about 6'7". He is an absolute unit, and he is getting ready to embark on a bodybuilding world tour, as I've been calling it, getting ready to compete in his first bodybuilding event. This name may sound familiar, but what I would like to have right now is for all you fat, out of shape East Kentucky idiots to keep the noise down and let Rick Rude introduce himself. Rick, how's it going, my man?
What's going on, Adam? I'm doing very well, man. Blessed.
Amen, dude. Ain't we both? I was always just sitting here talking, man. Got so much to be thankful for. And the first time I seen you, this is crazy because the Hall of Fame you were at, it was in Orlando. One of my best friends had actually brought presents from Christmas. He was from Ohio, and he dropped off WrestleMania tickets to our house for our sons and all of us to go down. Rick wasn't even mentioned being in the Hall of Fame at that time. So a couple weeks later, I see Bleacher Report, says that Rick Rude's getting ready to go into the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, are you kidding? I mean, that's just God, man. I mean, good Lord said, you know what? Adam's going to be going down there. I want to have him show up and give him a little something extra. But, you came out on stage with your lovely sister, your beautiful mother, and you commanded attention. You were as big as, man, you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming through there. And it was an absolute awesome event, man. You had the natural charisma, and just, Ricky Steamboat doing the induction, you guys there. How was that, man? How was that trip?
That was the experience of a lifetime. That trip held a lot of important value to me for multiple reasons. Not only it was my father getting inducted, it was right after my brother had passed away, and he would have been on that stage with us, if not giving the speech, had that not have happened. And I actually met my wife that weekend down there in Orlando.
Really?
So yeah, so that was the whole experience was just out of this world for me. I'll never forget it.
Man, you met your wife when your dad was getting put into the Hall of Fame finally. That weekend, that will definitely stick out, man. You've just, you've got some children, man, and I keep up with you on social media. Also, you've been working out really hard lately. I've noticed that, and I've been checking you out. You're ripped, but you've got. I was going to let you tell everybody, man, what you got going on right now in the bodybuilding, because that's a big deal right now. I mean, you're working your butt off. You're putting in the time. And I love your posts because they inspire me too.
Yeah, man. So. It just kind of felt like a natural fit for me. I never really, obviously my father passing, I'm sure he would have kind of mentored me into, some of these independent wrestling leagues, and I would have been able to get some experience to go that route. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I've always been really big, on genetics and just feeling like I was truly given a gift with my size and everything like that. And, it just kind of worked for me. I enjoyed working out. Obviously, I saw my father doing that all growing up. That was a big part of our family connection. And, it just felt good. I just want to show my kids, exactly what the limits of their body are and what they can push themselves to, and let them know that no matter what I get to, that's the least you can do.
Man, that is because, like you say, it sounds like you're a great dad. Great dad, because down here, the same thing, man. I'm taking my kid in here, working him out, showing him the safe way, the right way, and everything, man, and taking him to the boxing gyms, getting him the best help I can get him for his athleticism and stuff because he plays basketball. He does some boxing and stuff. So to see, I mean, you got to watch your dad, who was the greatest body. I mean, honestly, man, the Jesse the Body Ventura Award. He got the Jesse the Body Award. And so you got to work out with your dad as a kid, man?
Yeah. Well, at the time, he passed away when I was 9, but I certainly remember his intensity and his frequency in the gym, and it stuck with me. I mean, there's no excuse. If you want to look like something, you can do it.
And I've been doing some research, over the years and stuff, but I heard your grandfather was a legit tough guy, man. I mean, I heard he raised your dad and your aunts and uncles and stuff, man. I heard he was like just a very good father, but he raised them to be able to take care of themselves.
Yeah, he was notorious around Minneapolis, especially in Robbinsdale, for just kids wouldn't be allowed to go over and play at their house because they were afraid if they got in trouble and Rood spanked them, dick. They were like, well, who in the hell is going to go over there and say something to this guy? Like, so they wouldn't let kids go play at my dad's house. And he was a tough guy. He owned a pub, all growing up. He raised my dad and 6 sisters all on his own, with no mother. And it was a tough time. They didn't have a lot of money. And my dad just, made it his life's creed to make his father proud and just be as tough as he was. And he got pretty damn close to that.
Well, I tell you, his name was, Richard also, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So are you Rick Rude the third?
I'm not the third. And my mother didn't like my father's middle name.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was Irwin. She was just not big on Irwin being my name. So it just never worked out like that. But yeah, no. So I am the third Rick of the bunch, but not a third.
Have you went up to Minneapolis and Robbinsdale? Have you ever been up that way? And
yeah, my father actually has a half brother, Mike, and I've got 3 cousins. His daughters. I go up there and visit them frequently. The last time I was actually there was at the memorial service for Dick's passing.
Yeah. Well, man, I tell you, that Robbinsdale bunch is legendary. I mean, think about the athletes, dude, that came out of that one vicinity of Minnesota. I mean, you've got
something in the water up there. Something in the water.
I mean, it's just Eddie Sharkey trained your dad and so many other guys up there. You had the Road Warriors. You had Kurt Hennig, which was your dad's one of his best friends, if not his best friend, right?
Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah. I mean, Kurt's the reason that my father even got into wrestling. He was bouncing and doing the arm wrestling. And I don't even know if you're aware, he took like 7th place in the light heavyweight division of the World Arm Wrestling Championships in '87. Mm-hmm. And he was doing that. And then Kurt and his father had actually moved to Texas, I believe, to open up a gym wrestling. And he ended up calling my dad and being like, hey, man, I think this is something you could get involved in. And my dad started training with Sharkey up there.
Man, I'm going to tell you a story. Do you know Ricky Morton from the Rock and Roll Express?
I met him at the Hall of Fame thing, and we got plenty of conversation in. So I'd say I'm acquainted with him.
Well, okay. So I worked a match with him, and anytime I work these veterans that I know were around your father, I always ask them, did you ever get to work with Rick, or was you backstage with him? So Ricky Morton, we're going over a match and stuff backstage, and I'm blown away. He's a Hall of Famer, man. I grew up watching the Rock and Roll Express, so I'm on cloud 9 anyways. So I asked Ricky, I was like, did you ever get to work with Rood? And he said, you like Rood? And I was like, yeah, man, he's the reason I've got a pair of trunks on right now. He said he was a legit tough guy. I said, I've heard that. He said, I'll tell you another story about Rick Rude. He said, we were down at WCCW. He said, Kerry Von Erich was slamming everybody. He said he was just lined up slamming everybody. And he said Percy Pringle and Rick Rude walk in. And he said, couple of the boys hollered and said, hey, Rude, why don't you try Kerry? He's slamming everybody. Ricky said that Rude nonchalantly walks over, puts his luggage down, puts his arm up there like he don't even want to be there, and said that Kerry just tries with everything in him. He just can't even budge him, man, and said Rude just slams him. And he said it blew everybody's mind. But that was, I was aware that he was a world champion arm wrestler with Scott Norton also up there in Minnesota. Man, Scott was a stout guy also.
Yeah, no, he took his arm wrestling very seriously. That's funny. My grandfather actually took it very seriously too, and the only fight that I ever saw my dad was hooked this, like, I'd say a 4x4 beam that was in the middle of his bar and shook the whole place.
God.
Like he was serious about it. He would put anyone down.
And arm wrestling's almost like a lost form. It was big in the '80s, man. In '70s and '80s, arm wrestling was the real deal. I mean, it was a highly competitive thing, and it still is to an extent. But back, man, the boom was in the '70s and '80s back then.
It's interesting to see it. You're starting to see it come around a little bit more. Starting to see more videos. I saw a video recently of Adam Scher getting on with that big guy who's like a champion, and man, they put together a good pull.
I seen it at the Arnold Classic last year. We went up, me and my little boy did, and they were having the arm wrestling events up there. And it's crazy because you see these big dudes get up there, and then you see somebody like your dad or a couple other ways, and they're not the biggest, but their forearms are ridiculous, and it's so much technique is involved in it that you wouldn't even know it.
Man, it's all in the lat and locking.
Really?
Yeah, locking that elbow down to your lat and turning your whole body in. Like, you really don't want your forearm to move at all. It's not a rotator cuff thing. It's more of like a twist and a push.
So have you been doing some arm wrestling?
Look, hey, this is all anecdotal, just messing around with the friends, no competitions.
I was going to say,
that's
man,
that's a good idea. I'm kind of looking for some new things to do. That might be a good one to start.
Well, I'm telling you, man, you've got it down right there, and it runs in the blood, obviously. So I would say, venture into it also. But we was talking a little bit about Robbinsdale there in Minnesota, and I'm going to tell you another crazy story. This is how small the world is. So I'm in Panama probably 7 years ago, I guess, and I'm at the beach, and I'm doing a little bitty goofy wrestling promo for an event for when I get back home. We're having an event, so I was going to send it to the promoter. Well, there was I don't know if it was like a group of not teenagers, but the younger, they were probably mid-20s or early 30s. And one of the guys come up, and he has a beard, and he's talking to me and stuff. He's like, he said, "Are you into wrestling?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just, local stuff." And we got to talking, and he told me he was from Rome, Georgia. And I was like, "Well, Rome, Georgia, a lot of the guys that I'm aware of live down there, or Tampa." And I was like, I think Rick Rude is from there, and he's like my favorite wrestler. He said, "Man, I know Rude's son." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, we went to school with him, and he had his friends, and I cannot remember the name or nothing, but he was telling me, man."
I was going to say that.
He was telling me
that small world.
That was it. And he was also telling me, I think it was the big boss man, Ray Traylor's bunch was down there. Oh, he said, "Man," he said, "Arn Anderson's from down here." He said, "We went to school with Rude's son." And I was like, "Man, that is nuts."
Yeah, Marty or Arn is notorious around here. There are some stories. There are some stories associated with that guy. It might be a little too graphic for the podcast.
Dude, there's nothing graphic on here. I mean, we go with it all, especially in pro wrestling. You're going to get the stories. I mean, that's just part of the game, especially back in the day. I mean, nowadays they're more Xbox and PlayStation than it was traveling the roads and having to get into something after the shows and everything. But it was like I said, man, it was just one of them situations where it's crazy. You're out and about. And you said, you think that your dad would have been interested in getting involved in pro wrestling when you were young?
I would have. And it's really surprising that, after he passed away, there was no really outreach or anything like that for any type of, mentorship, I guess, growing up. It kind of doesn't sit well with me, but, hey, everything, it just wasn't meant for me. So, I set my sights on everything else.
Man, and that blows my mind because how tall are you, Rick?
6'7".
6'7". Your dad was what, 6'4"? Was Rick 6'4"?
6'4".
I mean, and he was a big dude, but I'm telling you, when you walked out on stage down there, I mean, you could just, it don't take a dummy. You can look at somebody and tell they're athletic, they're big, they're good looking. I mean, dude, you're a money man. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I mean, you got the look, I mean, heck, what are you, 30, mid 30s?
32. Yeah, 32.
Shoot, you're young, man. I got in at 30. And I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, am I wrong on this, Rick? Did the WWE contact you and give you a workout at one point? And I heard this was before you even, I
Yeah,
think probably,
that was prior to even the Hall of Fame by a long stretch. And I got through it. It was a very small session, but at the time I just wasn't physically ready, man. I wasn't there, and that was the first time I'd ever gotten in the ring and actually done any drills and running the ropes and just doing all this endurance training, and it was new to me. But it's funny, now looking back, it's like if I would have known that I would have actually taken that path of like fitness and just wellness, I would have told him, look, give me 4 or 5 years, I'll be right back here and I'll be the best you got.
I mean, you had no prior training.
None.
Man, they should have knew that. I mean, they should have took that into consideration. I mean, honestly, because listen, pro wrestling training takes time. I mean, for them to reach out and get you, they should have known, give this kid some time. I mean, he's got it. The looks, the size, I mean, the bloodline. I mean, the apple don't fall far from the tree. I mean, like you said, genetics, big on genetics. I'm the same way. My dad, my grandfather, big, strong. My grandfather was a boxer. I boxed a little bit, do some MMA. So, I mean, I would have loved to have seen you got involved, man. Heck, 32 years old, you're still a baby, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, you got to use what you got. And I mean, if I got anything, I can talk shit with the best of them.
There you go, man. And legit, I would be willing to bet $1 against a donut that you're a legit tough guy. I'd say you've been in some scraps yourself. So you can take care of yourself. And that was one thing John Cena said. He said, Rick could beat me up and take my girl, and people knew that.
Yeah, man, he really was. He had a chip on his shoulder, and it really did start with his dad. He just wanted to make him proud and be damned. Like he would be the first one at a bar fight to go and jump in the middle of it because he just wanted to show like he was a knockout artist. I mean, I've never once. I mean, you probably heard the story of Flair told of when he almost ended the Warriors' career.
I've heard that from more than just Flair. I mean,
yeah, I mean, he just wasn't. He wasn't terrified. Fear wasn't in his emotions. It just wasn't there.
And there's so many stories about Rood being tough. I mean, not just the Ultimate Warrior, but I mean, I've heard him legit like not Dutch Mantel. Just talked to Dutch a few days ago, and he told me that if Rick Rude was to line a punch out, that was the way he put it. If he lined his right hand out, he said he'd tear a man's head off. Which brings me to this next story I'm about to tell you. So we talked about Ricky Steamboat a few days ago, right? I reached out. He's going back and forth. So I'm up at Comic Con and I've got my Rick Rude tank top shirt on, and I hear, "Hey, Rick Rude," and I turn around and it's Ricky Steamboat standing there, and he's next to Jake the Snake Roberts, and Jake looks good now, but he had some. He was on oxygen at the time.
Yeah.
So I walk up and Jake, I've got a little crowd around me and stuff, and Ricky starts. He said, "You like Rude?" And I was like, "Dude, he's my hero." He said, and then he went in to tell me the story, basically what he told at the Hall of Fame, where the inverted sit-ups from the cage, crash and burn, crash and burn. And I'd heard that, but then I said, was there any heat with Ric Flair and Rick Rude? I said, was there any heat? He said, I'll tell you this. He said, if Rick Rude would have got a hold of Ric Flair, he would still be laying down. And about that time, it's hilarious because Jake the Snake takes that oxygen mask off and says, he would have effing killed him. He said he would have effing killed him if he'd wanted to. He said he was dangerous. He said Rick Rude was dangerous. He said, but that's
Jake has some funny stories with my dad too. They used to screw at each other hard.
Oh yeah, he told me
he told me this one story. I'm not going to get into too much detail about what exactly Jake did to my father. Let's just say it was pretty vile. Gruesome. And soon as my father found out about it, Jake said my dad chased him on foot from the arena all the way back to the hotel, and Jake had to barricade himself in the hotel room.
That wouldn't have been the story about "This is from Jake," would it be?
The kiss from Jake's girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah. That was one.
I'm surprised he didn't take the door off the whole thing.
Yeah, they used to screw with each other. They'd put like itching powder in each other's boots, and it was brutal. I couldn't imagine.
No, and I can't remember. Was it? I'm trying to imagine if this was on the podcast that you were recently, or not recently. It's a few years ago, I guess, wasn't it? Somebody said that Batman
3 or 4 years ago now. Yeah,
it was, and I can't remember if somebody asked about. You may have told the story about Batman was supposed to show up for your birthday party one year or something like that, and
yeah. So I don't. It's funny. I haven't remembered that story in so long, Adam. You kind of put me on the spot with that one, brother. But yeah, Batman was supposed to show up, and my my dad just disappeared and like came back in a Batman suit, and we just kind of acted like my dad wasn't Batman, but we all knew it was my dad because he was missing. But like he was great, man. Like he would throw us the biggest birthday parties. Like those few days that they had at home were just, he all out. He would just do everything for the family. Fly everyone in from all over the country to hang out, go on vacations, throw big birthday parties like that. All the other guys would come. It was great.
I seen him. I don't know. Have you seen the picture of him in a Big Bird costume with Jim the Anvil Neidhart?
I have.
I didn't even know that. I think Natalia, his daughter, had posted it. Said you wouldn't guess, but this is Rick Rude in the Big Bird costume.
Yeah, we were really close with them too. That was good. Reconnected with Natalia down at the WWE event.
That like I said, that weekend, you met your wife. How long have you been married now, man?
6 years.
6 years. How many kids you got, bub?
3.
Man. And you know what? I seen it. You're raising them right too, man. Like I keep up with you on there and stuff. And you've got a beautiful family, and it's awesome to see. I see where you and your wife had been out hunting with Ted Nugent. I mean, how did that happen?
Yeah, so that was kind of that fell in our laps. We were doing business with this company out in Sacramento, California, and this guy had gone on a couple Nugent hunts down in Texas on his big ranch down there. So they call it the pork slam, the one we went to. So you pay for an animal. We actually did a goat and a boar, but you go up there on his property. It's all fenced in. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but it's really cool because you're there with Nugent on his property. And we got to spend about 2 hours with him, just sitting around a campfire shooting the shit. And I tell you what, man, if you think that guy's a ball of energy on TV, try sitting down with him. He's a lot to follow.
I'm a big Nugent fan, man. I love his music. Derek St. Holmes, his guitarist that was singing, Stranglehold and Snakeskin Cowboys. Love that jam too. But he's an awesome guitar player, and I can imagine just being up on his.
He's an all around. Just he really is an incredible, intriguing person. I mean, talented, but like he's so into archery and just nature and politics. Like he's across the gambit, man. He's like the full spectrum guy.
He has to stay busy. You can tell, man. He has to stay going and doing something. But I mean, he's just one talented dude. I mean, shred on a guitar. I mean, think about the stuff he used to do. I mean, he used to swing in on his stage. I mean, I'm a big fan of rock stars, man. I love the energy, the charisma. I guess it goes with the pro wrestling thing, man. But I seen that and I was like, that had to be a pretty cool experience. The hunt with Ted Nugent.
It was really neat, man. I bought one of his AR-15 like shaped guitars from him, and he signed it. Yeah, so I've got that put up. It was fun, man. He was a character. I'll never forget that. That was definitely something I was glad to go be a part of.
Well, listen, you have got something coming up. You're getting into this we're getting into this bodybuilding event that's coming up in June. I want to hear how you're training. How long? When did this, enter your mind? When did you decide? I'm going to go out. I'm going to do this and train hard.
Yeah, I started taking my training pretty seriously about, I would say, June of 21. Trained my ass off just in my home gym I put together and everything like that, and got to where I would look in the mirror and I'd say, damn, all right, you kind of look like some of these guys already who are getting up there and winning some of these contests. So, how much further could you push it? Well, I pushed that into, 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. My diet, I've been tracking calories ever since I made that decision I'd say about 6 months ago. I kind of played around with the idea of entering in a contest. About 4 months ago, I had some friends really say like, dude, go get on that stage. And that's when I really decided to start taking seriously. So I tried to throw on a little bit more weight. As I'm sitting today, I'm about at 265, and I got a few more pounds to go, but I'm about 8 weeks out from the competition. I'm going to do the classic bodybuilding, that kind of Arnold style.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do try to do 2 shows this year, one June 3rd and then one later in October.
Are you pretty excited about it?
I would say I'm excited. I'm a little anxious, not nervous about it, just anxious. It's a new thing. I mean, just looking at the competition though, not trying to sound a little, inflated. I think I'll be all right.
I think you'll be fine, dude. I think you'll be fine. I think it's right down your alley, actually. I mean,
yeah, it's a sport of finesse and commitment. I love it. It's like my therapy, getting in that gym every single day. The hardest part's eating, as always.
Yes.
Just getting all those calories in and making sure they're clean. But
my diet is trash. I'm not even going to lie. Like, my diet is trash. I eat what I mean, it's a shame because I've had guys, in the business to be like, man, if Adam was to eat right, he would have $1 million look. And it's just like, I mean, it's the hardest, like you said, man, eating is just the hardest part. To me, anyways.
What you want to look like.
That's it, dude. That is it. And are you going to be doing personal training and stuff, man? I mean, you got plans of doing that?
Yeah. So I started out doing personal training just online. I've got a business I'm getting up and running called Custom Athletic and Fitness, like Custom AF. And that's something I'm going to lean into really heavily after I win this show.
Absolutely.
As soon as I do that, I want to work with people who know what they're doing but want to get to the next level. It's not really my speed to, work with people who've never been in the gym, never been associated with fitness.
Yeah.
And usually when you go the traditional route and personal training, you got to get through all that before you get to the prime stuff. And I just said, look, I'm going to go do a show everyone I can do it, when I know what I'm doing, and then start outreaching and saying, like, who wants, seriously to get into this? Who wants to change their look? What's the goal? Let's do it.
Man. And you know what? You're going to not, like you said, when you win that, you are going to that is going to take off. Mark my word, that will take off. I promise. I mean, you have a lot of going for you anyways. And then as hungry as you are for, to get that up and running, I would be willing to bet that it takes off immediately. I mean, because you're going to win this. It will. I guarantee it. And, I do a lot around here for some local kids. I've got a home gym down here, some punching bags, weights and everything. Yeah. And I've been helping some of the local athletes, young kids, and it went from that to kids wanting to lose weight and stuff. So I do 3 to 5 days a week when I get off work. As soon as I get off work, I'm down in my garage trying to get these kids trained.
And I commend you on that. I commend you. There's nothing more rewarding than working with kids and seeing them develop.
I appreciate it. And, it's like you said, man, I get kids come down here that don't even know what a jump rope is. And to get them to even do 3 in a row and see how pumped they get, it's a feeling that's, I mean.
Well, you're giving them the means to be healthy for the rest of their life.
Yes. And
that's the way you're teaching them how to live better.
And some of them, man, are getting bullied at school. So they come down here and I work with them, teaching them, how to throw some hands and protect themselves. Number one, I tell them, keep your hands up. I mean, because, in a school fight, young kids, it's going to get broke up quick. Keep your hands up, protect yourself, and then we'll take care of business.
Well, the good thing is you get a kid who knows how to throw a good solid jab and a right. Fights can end quickly at that age.
A 1-2 combo is all they have to know at that age, man.
Yep.
I mean, just to protect themselves, because the kids that come down here, it would really break your heart, some of the stories that I've heard. I mean, it's just, when I started doing the Bears Den, that's what I call it. It's a crazy story. You remember Dan Severn, the Beast, UFC fighter?
Yeah.
My dad favors him, big mustache. So my friends used to call my dad the Bear instead of the Beast. So my dad let me train for MMA in his garage, and I started calling it the Bears Den. Well, it just took over, and I call it that down here.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's got meaning. It's like I just had a tattoo done of
oh, that's clean. That's good work.
Oh yeah, it's a big.
That's awesome.
And that's my wife and my son. I say right there.
That's awesome.
So I waited. I had Adam on my arm. I had to get a tattoo when I was 18, so I had to. Everybody was doing it. Old English Adam had to have it there. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get that covered up one day, and when I do, it's
just in case you ever forget who you are.
Exactly. The guy, when I fought in the Tough Man contest over in West Virginia, you have to see these things. It was called Rough and Rowdy. All the guys were making fun of me at work, saying that them guys was looking, said, "I dumb, I dumb." You know, that was the people I was competing against. They were saying,
That's good.
but you know, like I said, I don't want to keep you on here too long, Rick. Like I said, this meant a lot. I appreciate it. I hope I haven't drug you around. I hope you've had a good time.
No.
So
Not at all.
I've got some fast questions. Nothing big, just right off the top of your head. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, that's going to be a split decision between Natural Born Killers and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Natural Born Killers. I was 10 years old. No, I was 9 in 4th grade. My brothers snuck me into the theater to watch it.
That would be a rough one to watch at 9.
Well, I was ahead of the game at that point. But it was you know, Tom Sizemore recently passed away. Man, he did such a wonderful job in that movie.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones also. I mean, you go back, that movie's deep. I mean, there's some real Woody Harrelson is one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Fear and Loathing, Johnny Depp. I mean, that's another good one. 2 great choices. So we'll go to the next question, which is similar. Who is your favorite actor?
That would be Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, another great one. Kentucky boy, actually.
Oh yeah.
What was your favorite sport?
Favorite sport? I would have to say football.
Football, which would lead to who's your favorite athlete of all time?
My favorite athlete isn't actually a football player. So Eddie Hall, the strongman.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what it is about that guy. I just think he's hilarious, and he's just like he's spot on with everything he does. He's so driven. I look up to him. I would say Eddie Hall.
His wife, I think she's so much smaller than him. It's hilarious seeing them on Instagram together.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
He's one of them giants. You know, he'll trump anyone.
So, dream vehicle. If Rick Rude could have a dream vehicle put in his driveway tomorrow, what would you choose, my man?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I've already got it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not really into fancy sports cars and stuff like that. You know, if I had $250,000 to blow like that, I would probably do something a little bit smarter with it that could make me some money back besides buying a car. But I've got a HD Denali pickup truck. And I love that thing. When I was a kid, I always thought that a nice car was a GMC Denali. Now that I've got the diesel and the Denali and the HD, it's hands down. Love it.
I'm a truck guy myself, man. I still drive my '09 Camry that we got years ago to work. I mean, and that thing has got many miles on it. And I tell them, you know, they said, "Adam, ain't you gonna get a new one?" I said, "I will drive this car until the wheels fall off of it, man."
Yeah, for sure.
Favorite protein? I know you're big into the bodybuilding game right now, so you've got to keep protein in you. What kind do you choose, my man?
All right. So to put it simply, it's all first form proteins. So your casein, your overnight, you know, kind of meal replacement, just hold you over. You're going to want to go with level 1. And then post workout, fast, rapid absorbing whey, Formula 1. Those 2 right there, the way that they make them is, to put it simply, if you cook chicken on a grill, it cooks really quick, but what is it? It's a little bit dry. It's a little bit tough.
Yeah.
That's how most protein is made. Like in this essence, what they do is called reverse microfiltration. So what it is like the crock pot method of cooking. It takes a little bit longer, a little bit more expensive, but you absorb the protein. It doesn't give you any of the bloat, the gas issues that regular whey gives you. I mean, most of these supplements, you know, you're taking something that says 24 grams of protein on it. You're really only absorbing about 18 of that. With theirs, if you're, you know, says 24, you're actually getting about 22.
Yeah.
And that's just the process of making it. So all of my supplements, I actually am a Legionnaire for them. I push them very hard, and that's what I take. Anything like that is all first form.
Man, I'll tell you that it couldn't have been broken down no better, because a lot of these proteins, like you said, it's got a lot of fillers in them and stuff around here, man. And it causes gas.
The supplement industry is just riddled with, you know, the big supplements that sell the most are the ones that have the best marketing.
Yeah.
That doesn't always necessarily mean they have the best product. And chances are they spent more of their money on marketing than they did actual R&D onto the product itself. First form, one of the reasons I decided to go with them and start taking their supplements is like all of their stuff is efficaciously dosed. The BCAAs, all the essential aminos, you know, if you're not getting certain amounts of those every serving, you're not even getting the benefits of it.
Right.
So, you got people out there using other stuff, paying a little bit less for it, but you're wasting money over the long run because, what you're trying to do isn't even, it's not even making it click.
Yeah. Do you take pre-workout?
I don't.
That was what I was going to ask you. So what would you do? I mean, what do you drink or get? I mean, you just drink a cup of coffee or something?
No, nothing actually.
Wow.
So what I do is I have like one coffee in the morning. That's all the caffeine I have. The rest of the day is just water. So pre-workout, what I'll do is drink 60 grams of Formula One with 2 packets of oatmeal, 45 minutes before my workout. During my workout, I eat 2 bags of Haribo gummy bears. I get 200 grams of that dextrose. That right there offsets my calorie deficit and fuels my muscles as I'm burning that glycogen. That way, post-workout, when I do that shake again, all that nutrients go straight into the muscle.
God, man, you have this broke down to
It's a science. It's all about timing. It's all about timing.
God, man, I couldn't imagine. I mean, counting calories and just and your protein intake.
Yeah,
man, I'm rooting for you so much. Honestly,
I appreciate that, Adam. I really do.
I hope you take this. I hope you take the bodybuilding world by storm. But listen, favorite music and bands. What's Rick Rude listening to as he drives down the road or going to pick his kids up from school? Or I mean, what's he jamming?
Ooh. Man, I'm really big on reggae music, like old roots reggae.
Yeah.
I've got a big swing, and then I do a lot of like New York style rap, like the Locks, D Block, Uncle Murda, French Montana, things like that. And then I go all the way back to classic rock, like Queen, the Stones, the Doors. Yeah. I mean, I'm all over the place.
All over the place.
Good music is good music.
That's it, man. I'm an eclectic guy myself, so I listen to a little bit of everything. But
oh yeah,
classic rock, it's usually my go-to. Now, the next question is, what is your favorite type of dog? I've added this one.
No dog.
No dog. Do you like animals?
I'm just not a big dog guy.
I wasn't either. Animals. I'm going to tell you something. I was not a dog guy either until 2 years ago. My son got a little beagle. And I used to be the guy say, I can't believe people let a dog get in the bed with them. I can't believe people let a dog get on the couch. Now, if my dog ain't in the bed with me, like I'm almost like an advocate for Operation Beagle Freedom. I mean, that's how different my life has become in 2 years since this dog. It's really mind-blowing.
You're making me feel bad now. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with animals.
I was the same way.
Look, I got 3 little kids in the house, and that's enough chaos for me.
There you go. I'm the same. Listen, I was the same way, so do not feel bad. The last of my questions is, what entrance music would you use if you were coming out to the ring?
Okay, what was that now?
What entrance music would you use if you were coming out to the ring?
Ooh, I'd have to go back to the one that I used to see my father dancing in the mirror to in the gym, and that would probably be "Miss You" by the Rolling Stones.
Man. To know that Ravishing Rick Rude liked the Rolling Stones is like so cool, because I'm a big fan of the Stones. Mick Jagger, the dude had it. I mean, he had the swagger. He's still going, and
I think Mick Jagger invented swagger.
He did. I mean, honestly, go back before him. I mean, you had the James Browns, the Elvis Presleys and stuff, man. But
yeah,
I mean, Mick Jagger was probably right before them, maybe. I mean, the Beatles and then the Stones, I guess you would.
Yeah, that's about the order.
I had a guy also, really big fan of your father. He sends me stuff. Gene Cazezo, he wanted to know about your dad's diet. He said, do you remember, or did you ever hear about what his diet consisted of?
Look, I can't tell you specifics. I know when he was at home, my mother always made home cooked meals and he loved them. But what I will tell you is he had to force himself to eat. I mean, to keep that size on, as much as he was training, how he was going. I mean, he hated it, but he ate. So just based off the way he looked and the way my body works, I would say very high protein, very high carb, low fat. Man.
And you know what? The dude had the best body in the business. I mean, and to eat the home cooked meals, had a great wife cooking them, it sounds like.
I'm not recommending this to anyone who wants to look like Ravishing Rick Rude, but his favorite breakfast spot was Waffle House. Anytime he was home, that's where he was at.
Well, we had a huddle house around here. It was
Oh
like
yeah.
another type of a Waffle House. But Rick, thanks for being on, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Again, I really appreciate it. It's been great.
and I'd like for you to plug your stuff, your supplements too, man. We need to get that push. We need people to order, and we need them to use
Well,
your
I tell you,
account.
the easiest way to do it is if anyone wants to shoot me a follow request on Instagram, it's underscore Rick Rude, ROOD. I'll accept your request. Just shoot me a message. Let me know you're interested in some of the supplements I was talking about. I'll send you all the product links. If you're even interested in getting a training program going, I'd be able to help you out with that if you're serious about getting in shape.
And listen, if you're going to get in shape, who else would you rather have? Look at this man, the seed of seduction. I mean, ravishing Rick Rude, son, Rick Rude Jr. Listen, you've got the bodybuilding event coming up in June. Is it in Georgia?
Yes, yes, it is. Rome, June 3rd, the Roman Classic.
June 3rd, the Roman Classic. Listen, we've got to get behind this man. Everybody, he is driven, he is hungry, and he's going to take over the bodybuilding world because whatever he goes after, like he said, it was inherited in him by his father and his grandfather just to be the toughest and bring out the best in you that you can do. So, Rick, I'm going to let you get some rest, my man. Like I said, this meant the world to me, and I want you to know that I appreciate it so much. Take care, and God bless, dude.
Yeah, God bless, Adam. It was great talking to you, buddy.
You too, buddy. I'll see you later.
All right, see you, man.